the ANC's first Deputy Secretary General, Nomvula Mokonyane, has led a chant calling for the departure of Israeli ambassador to South Africa. The party marched to the Israeli embassy in Pretoria, which Mokonyane also says should be shut down. The march is in solidarity with Palestine amid the ongoing violence in the Gaza Strip.
Down with the Israeli government, down! Down with the killing of people in their mosques, down! Down with the bombing of hospitals, down! Down with the killing of innocent children, down! I am Israel, South Africa, I am embassy, my boycott Israeli products, boycott! Boycott Israel products, boycott!
Lukhanyo has called on the African Union to hold an emergency meeting to look at possible interventions as the Israel-Hamas conflict rages on now in its 13th day.
We are also calling for an emergency AU meeting that government must consider, talking to our people in Africa and governments, and have a meeting to look at this particular issue. Thirdly, that we urge the United Nations Secretary General to step in and go into the space and ensure that they lift the blockade of transportation of goods, especially medicine and food, for the people who are in the invaded Gaza area. Fourthly, we have also said the United Nations must implement the UN resolution. It's not up to the Palestinian people.
Right, let's continue with this. Our politics editor, Lukhanyo Calata, is on the ground and joins us now for an update. Lukhanyo, very good afternoon to you. A lot has been said as this march has been ongoing. A lot, especially as we know that Nomvula Mokonyane has just addressed those who have gathered there for that march, making several demands and, of course, wanting to ensure that there is indeed solidarity, international solidarity, and speaking about its advantages.
Paul, indeed, we just obviously just as I started speaking, the ANC's van started driving past us. But I'm not going to waste any time, Paul, because I am joined by the Deputy Secretary General of the African National Congress, Nomvula Mokonyane. Ma'am, thank you so much for your time. Obviously, a lot said today, particularly around the issue of the Palestine and whether or not they should remain in our country, ma'am.
The Palestinians are welcome to be in South Africa. We are actually disappointed that once more, just as we were here the last time, led by Comrade Jesse Duarte, our Deputy Secretary General, they opted not to be here and rather brought in the South African Police Services. They actually show the fact that they don't see their value of being here.
This gathering, marching today, you were supposed to hand over a memorandum.
We were supposed to hand over a memorandum. We applied, we got the permission. Upon our arrival here, we get a response from the South African Police Service, who are supposed to be dealing with crime in our country, that the embassy here said to them they must watch the embassy. They are not going to be here.
Earlier, ma'am, when you spoke to the audience and the crowd, you said in isiZulu, mabahambe, in reference to the Israelis. Does that mean that that's an official position of the ANC, that we need to cut all ties, diplomatic and otherwise, with the Israelis?
It's not going to be an easy decision, but I think through their actions, they declare themselves of no value to us. I've been here from the age of 16. I'm 60 years now. They've never received a single memorandum, these people. The last time we were here during COVID. I think everyone and the ANC must reflect through government. Why must we have an embassy that is so cold and anti-people?
Would you characterize the Israeli embassy and the way that they've behaved as being disrespectful towards the people of South Africa?
They represent a government that is anti-people, a government that kills people in a mosque, in a place of prayer, a government that bombs a hospital. And we thought when they are here, they will show us maybe a side that shows humanity. And it's not even being disrespectful. It is about just not valuing humanity.
Which is something that I suppose we as South Africans know very well, with apartheid having been declared a crime against humanity. You are now saying that the people of Israel, in essence, or at least the government of Israel, the state of Israel, in essence, is a criminal state that perpetrates crimes against the humanity of the people of the Palestine.
I take it that you heard the call that was made, that the people who are in Gaza must actually vacate. What do you call that? If it is declared by a government that people mabahambe, it's an act of genocide. It's very genocidal. And once that has been made public, a hospital gets bombed. I think all of us know, even with us in the ANC, when Umkhonto weSizwe was waging a war against the apartheid system, where there has been civilians caught in a crossfire, we acted even against our own members. And that's what, even in any serious war, a hospital, a church, a school will always be protected. And here, what has happened is something that is very atrocious.
All right. One last thing from me, ma'am. You've used the word genocide, which is quite a serious word.
It is.
In terms of the ANC, will you now be instructing your deployees in government to write to the International Criminal Court to investigate what's happening in Israel?
It is in our resolution of the NEC. Remember, we had even had an intention to pull out of the ICC. And we then took a resolution that let's rather fight from within and call for the reform. And this is a challenge to the ICC, that it must be seen to be consistent, and its decisions and actions must have credibility. Just a day ago, there was a decision on President Putin. It's quite interesting that until now nobody is saying anything about that call of threatening the people of Gaza to vacate, and the very following day then the place was bombed. It's very genocidal. It is. And we have said it as the NC. Yes.
Ma'am, thank you so very much for your time. Mpho, that is Nomvula Mokonyane, the Deputy Secretary General of the African National Congress, using a word as strong as genocide, describing what the Israelis have done to a hospital in the Gaza Strip as genocide. She's now said that the African National Congress is more than likely going to ask the state to write to the International Criminal Court to get that court to investigate these claims of crimes against humanity and, of course, the issue of a genocide following the bombing of a hospital in Gaza by the Israelis a few days ago. Mpho?
Very well, Lukhanyo. Let's perhaps leave it there for now as we continue to get updates from you and developments around this march and, of course, what the ANC has to say about this situation.